Okay, so welcome to our interview with Tamrae Decker. As most of you know, we are doing a series of mental health awareness for Mental Health Awareness Month. Tamrae was kind enough to join us to speak about some of the issues that she has experienced while being a first-year teacher during COVID, and whatever else we'll get into, we'll go from there. So, Tamrae, how are you today?
Doing good, doing good. As if being a first year teacher in the middle of a pandemic isn't enough. As many of you know, Corey and I are in the process of buying a house
Yeah.
and we're looking to move this weekend. So, on top of all of that, I'm packing and trying to just put everything into boxes and get ready to move.
So you just want 2020 just get it all done, or all the nonsense, all the stuff that we can do at once. Why not, right? Well,
That's pretty much how we live life sometimes.
congratulations on closing. Obviously, I knew behind the scenes, but that's a wonderful thing. Congrats, by the way. So
Thank you.
you did say it's your first year teaching.
Yes,
How
it
did that
is.
how did that start?
So I always knew I wanted to do something with dance and be a teacher. Like I knew I wanted to do both of those things. Then I discovered that there was a way to do both in one. And the college I went to had a dance education program, and you graduated being a certified teacher in dance so that you could transition very easily into a job at a K 12 school. So I graduated in 2018. I had several interviews. It took a while and it was very disheartening because I kept getting rejection after rejection for my dream job when I was like, I know I'm qualified, I know I'm passionate. So I took a couple hits and misses, but I tried to never give up. And Corey was actually a huge part of that because there were some times where I was about ready to give up on that dream of teaching in a school and just stick with studio and do whatever I had to make money on the side. And this spring, there was a full-time dance teacher position that I happened to come across. It was actually posted in an alumni page that I'm a part of. So like some old faculty from my college posted about it and were telling me who to reach out to. And so I was like, you know what, why not? Let's give it a go. And I discovered it wasn't a position where they were hiring for the next school year. Because for those of you who maybe don't know how the teaching process works, teacher contracts get renewed in the spring, and that gives district opportunities to see where the positions they need to fill are. So usually teachers will sign on for contracts for the next school year in like March or April. But they actually needed a teacher right away. Like they had some complications with the previous dance teacher and she was unable to be on staff anymore. And they were looking for someone to fill the position right away. So I was lucky enough to get hired on. This was in February when I interviewed and got the position and accepted it, like mid to late February. And I officially started the position the first school week in March. The second school week in March was spring break. And after spring break, we never came back in person. We were online for the rest of the semester.
Wow. Are you guys doing 100% remote now, or are some of the kids in the school?
So we are. There's a lot of schools in Arizona that have transitioned and done hybrid or gone all back in person, but my district is one of the few out here that has actually opted to remain online for the remainder of the first semester, just specifically because cases in our district, our area, and now as a whole in the state have been spiking and been pretty high.
So it's not a statewide decision, it's a municipality decision?
That is correct.
That's pretty cool.
Our governor hesitated to make any decisions regarding statewide.
Yeah.
So it's a district by district decision.
Well, I mean, if everything isn't bad enough, this is all happening during an election year, and you guys do live in a red state, and I'm sure that did have some some weight behind it in the decision. So I'm glad the municipalities were able to make their own choices. So that's a good thing. So just something I wanted to touch on real quick. How old are you again?
I am 24.
24. You said that you almost gave up.
Yes.
Man, get out of here.
I mean, it seems really silly, but it's one of those. I've always been passionate about dance. I've done it since I was a little girl. And I've also always been passionate about the idea of being a teacher. My mom was a preschool teacher, and that kind of really inspired me. And I was like, I want to look more into this. And I always get along really well with kids. So it would be such a great position and a great, great place for me. And um, when I found that track to do dance education at GCU, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It's everything I ever wanted, all of my passions in one. And funny story with that. So my last semester, when I was student teaching, the mentor teacher that I was working with was actually considering retiring that year. And had told me like, hey, I have no issues, you're great, I would love for you to take over my program, all of that. And I'm like thinking what an easy transition that would be, because I've already had a semester with the kids, they'll be familiar with me, easy transition of power. I say that in a weird, like not power, but
No,
like
I know what you mean.
in arts programs, you get really close with those teachers and it's hard to see them go. But if they had a little bit of time with me, then, smooth transition of teachers. But then she ended up not retiring until the following year. So that already was a little bit of a heartbreaker, because I had held off on applying for certain positions that I could have applied for, because I was confident that she was going to retire and that I was going to get that position. And then as it went forward each year, and I put in applications and I had some really promising interviews, even people that remembered my name and put my name in for a different position the following year, and I still didn't get anything. It was starting to get really frustrating. And there was a point where Corey and I had talked about moving to Georgia as soon as 2021. And I started to think, okay, well, maybe I'm not meant to be a teacher in Arizona. Maybe I should just stop looking and just deal with being the preschool teacher that I was at the time, as my day job, just to make some money and get by. And maybe Georgia is going to have the answers. Maybe something's going to happen. And I was going back and forth and debating on this for a while. And I talked with my mom about it, and I talked with Corey about it, and they both really pushed me to continue to apply, just to see what happens. You never know. God has a plan. And that's when this job opportunity came, and I took it, and I was like, I mean, we'll see what happens. I've done interviews before and I've been rejected. And excuse me, lo and behold, they called me and offered me the job.
So at 24, you have your degree, you have your dream job, and you're already dealing with one of the biggest hurdles you'll ever deal with in your teaching career. I think you're off to a pretty good start. So be easy on yourself a little bit there.
I'll
So
try.
you mentioned your mom. Did she inspire you to become a teacher?
She did. Like I said, she was a preschool teacher growing up. Um, she stopped to be a stay-at-home mom, and she actually homeschooled me and all three of my siblings, one of which who is still in high school and is still being homeschooled by my mom. And it just, her enthusiasm for getting us invested in learning was huge. And then her passion for kids translated over to my passion for kids. I mean, ask Corey, I see a kid and I smile. I want to say hi. I want to be their friend. I want to get to know them. I love interacting with kids. That's why when I had a struggle of finding a job as a dance teacher in a school, I ended up working as a preschool teacher. So I still have that daily interaction, working with kids, some extent of education going on, because it was an actual preschool and not just a daycare.
Right. So what do you think keeps you motivated during these crazy times?
Honestly, sometimes it's really difficult. Sometimes it's the kids that keep me motivated. Sometimes it's my passion for dance that keeps me motivated. And it's a hit or miss, day by day kind of thing. I have a couple class periods where I have so many of them that even in this online environment, they're interacting with me, they're responding to me, and they're building that relationship with me, even just through like video chats and chat boxes and stuff, which is really cool. And it kind of inspires me to be there for them. And go a little bit further. And then I got really excited when we got to start having athletics on campus. And one of the positions as being the dance teacher is that I'm also the head pom coach. So I got to actually meet some of my students in person and interact with them and see like their physical performance and growth as performers and dancers throughout this process, and seeing how much they're gaining from this and how hard they're working even in this trying time. It inspires me to work a little bit harder.
So I know you teach high school students, right?
Yes.
And I find that to be fantastic, being that you're 24 yourself. What advantages or disadvantages come with that?
So disadvantages. We'll start there. One, because I'm so young, I want to make sure that I'm guarding myself with these students, and I'm not crossing the line to become their best friend, because as a teacher, that's not my role. I want to be there for them. Absolutely. I want to help them out and hear them out whenever they want to talk about something, but I can't be their best friend. That's not my responsibility as their teacher, which can be hard when there's not as big of an age gap as you would think. Because some of my seniors that are 18, that's what, six years.
Mm-hmm.
But some advantages advantages to it though is that sometimes they'll make references or they'll talk about things in pulp culture or situations going on in their life that maybe I relate to a little bit easier, because I either just exited that stage of life, or because I'm so close in age, I'm watching the same shows that they are on Netflix. So we can talk about that at the start of class to get them invested in wanting to be in class with me, because, hey, at least I know some really cool pop culture references, and we can talk about that for 5 minutes at the start of class or whatever.
No, I can totally see you using that to your advantage. I mean, some of them may see you as a peer instead of a teacher, and I'm sure you're finding ways to use that to your advantage, and make sure you can incorporate that into your teachings with them. And so what are some of the pluses?
So the pluses, like I was saying, relating to them as far as pop culture references, stages of life, and just energy probably is another thing. So especially with this online environment, I'm doing a lot of demonstrating of the movements and of the dances as we're learning them. So because I am younger, I have the energy and I can do it the 5 billion times that they need to see it in the video so that they can feel confident with it. Whereas I know teachers, specifically like dance, PE teachers and stuff that usually have a lot of movement associated with their classes, maybe don't have as much energy as they get older to be able to keep up with their students.
Okay. What have you had like one rough day that maybe stands out so far? Or something that stressed you out?
So stressed me out really bad was my first official observation from my principal. So in this online environment, all that means is I see her little chat bubble pop up in my meeting, and I know, oh, she's watching. And my understanding of what they had told us at the beginning was there was going to be a couple like 15-minute observations and then a big observation that they would compile together for like our evaluation scores. And she ended up being there for the entire class period.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. That could be a good thing.
It's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, but it's very nerve-wracking when you're trying to, do your utmost best with that extra added pressure because someone's watching. Not that you do bad, like
in the back of your mind, yeah.
Watching, but it's that extra pressure of knowing they're there and all of a sudden you have to like check everything. And then let's see. What are some other especially hard days? I mean, not hard. Well, actually, first day after fall break when we came back, that was kind of rough. No one was motivated to do any work or to continue with their learning. So it was hard to get anybody engaged that day. And even I felt like I didn't want to be there. So it was like, I know I'm feeling disengaged. I know I'm feeling unmotivated. And they're feeling extra disengaged and unmotivated. So that was a rough day. And I think one of the most difficult just periods of to transition and adjust to. About halfway through the first quarter, my district decided that, okay, well, we see a lot of people failing, a lot of people not turning in work or missing assignments or different things in this online environment, and we want to combat that. So they took our 55-minute class periods and they shortened them to 35 minutes. Eesh. And added some intervention time in the afternoons. And at first that was really rough to adjust to figure out how to get your usual 55-minute lesson into a 35-minute class and feel like the kids are still going to get everything they need to out of it. And then make sure that you're able to address all the kids you need to in that intervention time, which at that time, a lot of us were looking at 30 to 40 of our students that had D's or F's, just because they weren't turning in work, and we were expected to try to reach all of them in one afternoon session.
As a parent of two teenagers, one in high school, that is the most frustrating thing. Heaven, did you do this? Yes. You look at the portal, missing assignment. It's the most frustrating thing ever. As you know, my daughter is in performing arts school. She's a freshman in high school. She's a very good singer, a very good dancer, and a very good actress. She chose drama, and I feel as a parent that there's an element to the school that she's just not getting by not being there in person, by not being around, peers with, similar talents or better talents in the same drive. And it's hard for parents, and I can imagine it's hard for you guys, but as a parent, it's hard to see that there's nothing you can do because your kid isn't getting the full lesson and the full idea of what should be going on. And so I can't imagine it's easier for you as a teacher because I'm sure there's things you want to get in, there's things you want to say. Like you said, you can't see them physically and how they move and how they look, their frame, and I'm sure it's frustrating for you as well. And you mentioned your principal and your administration. What kind of support have you been getting from them during this?
So as a whole, the administration team has been really great. The way my district is, they have at each site a designated person who is just a teacher mentor. So their whole job is to be there and support first and second year teachers. So I meet with her once a week, and everything I tell her is confidential unless there's something I'm doing that's like super endangering to a student or like illegal. But everything, like if I just need to vent to her because I had a rough day, I had kids that weren't listening in class, or like when I had my observation and I was super freaking out about the results that I got from it and everything, I was able to just vent to her and know that it wasn't going to go any higher up. It wasn't going to go to anyone, which was really cool that there's that person there that I can talk to. And overall, as a whole, the administration has been super supportive. It's one of those situations where, because it's a public high school, it's not a performing arts school like your daughter's going to, many of the administration do not understand some of the specific challenges that teaching a performing or visual arts course comes with. So that's more of a situation where as a group, all of the other performing and visual arts teachers, we get together and we meet twice weekly. And sometimes it's just us venting to each other about some of the requirements or some of the expectations that they put on the teachers academically, not realizing the impact it has on some of our courses where maybe there are a lot of assignments in upper levels where the kids will be doing independent work because that's how it would be structured in person. When administration is looking for constant engagement, checking in, having kids respond every 5 minutes kind of thing, which is great for some of my beginning levels when I'm teaching them, the basic steps. But when I'm teaching choreography projects where my older students are supposed to go create, I want to give them time to go create, especially when I know they have jobs or they watch their younger siblings or other things like that after school. So they're not going to have time outside of class time to work on it.
Now, you mentioned your peers. I can't imagine it's easy, teaching academic courses, traditional academic courses, let alone, performing arts. So what kind of things do your peers and you do to kind of, keep each other in check and support one another?
Well, like I said, we meet twice a week. I mean, part of it is it's a learning community, and we're supposed to be coming up with these common assessments and different things like that to give to our students to check their knowledge and growth. But a lot of the times we're providing ideas with each other. We're trying to help each other out as best as we can. I know we're always there to support each other as far as covering classes. Should anybody need, like our ceramics teacher, she had an incident and she broke her wrist right at the beginning of the school year and needed people to cover her classes for a good 4 or 5 days because of different doctor's appointments and a surgery that she had to go to. So as a whole department, we really stepped in and we're helping to cover her classes and everything, which is really interesting in a virtual environment to cover and sub for someone.
I can imagine.
And then, yeah, like I said, just a lot of support. And what's really cool about this particular district that I work in, so I have my specific on-site PLC is what we call it, a professional learning community. That's all the performing and visual arts instructors at my school. But then district wide, I actually have connections and I know all the other dance teachers that are in the district. So that's another resource where we'll share ideas with each other. We had a meeting last week, and one of the other dance teachers at one of the other schools had a lesson that was forwarded to her by a theater teacher that she knows in another district. That she manipulated and made into a dance assignment that she gave to some of her students. And she was sharing her success with that assignment and was like, here, I'm going to forward this to you guys so that you guys, if you want, no pressure, but if you want to give this assignment to your students, I'm having good engagement, I'm having good responses. So just sharing ideas and trying to help each other out and support each other as best as we can.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like that's a good support system in itself right there. So what keeps you motivated?
Honestly, my love and passion for dance and wanting to share that with these students and seeing that at least a couple of them are responding to it and reflecting and returning to it. And it's when I have those frustrating days, I know there's certain things I can look at or turn to remind me that there are students out there who do appreciate what I'm doing and do appreciate the time that I'm taking and all these certain assignments that we're doing. Like with a couple of my classes, we just finished a dance project where I was actually choreographing and I was teaching them chunks of it at a time. And I had asked a question that they had to post in a discussion forum and respond to, like what was their favorite project. And a lot of them said they were really excited to do this project and to get to know me and my dance style a little bit more through doing this. And that just made me really excited that, okay, they do want to connect with me. They do want to get to know me in this virtual way as best as they can, especially because I know for a lot of them, there's been a lot of turmoil and they have had 2 or 3 different dance teachers in their high school career, some of these seniors.
Right.
So that's a lot of change to go through in an art form where usually you have 1 or 2 teachers your entire high school career. So it made me really excited that they wanted to get to know me and they wanted to take that next step.
Nice. How are your relationships with the parents of the students?
Some of them are better than others. It's we have accessibility to call home, and obviously on a lot of students where I'm struggling with their assignments, or I'm seeing that they're attending class but they're not turning work in or different things like that, I'm making calls home. And some parents are aware of what's going on, some parents aren't. But for the most part, they seem to be pretty on top of their students and wanting to work with me to work on getting those grades up or doing something. But I do think it would be a lot different if it was in person and we had more opportunities to interact or see each other. We had a virtual parent night, and out of all all five classes that I teach, I'm doing my math right. All five classes that I teach, I had 4 parents come that night.
Really?
So out of
virtually
all my rosters together, I have 120 students or something like that, and I had 4 parents that night that I got to see virtually and interact with. So it was like, okay, well, how am I supposed to make this connection with these parents if they're not reaching the other way as well?
Yeah. What's the wildest thing you've seen on a Zoom call? I mean, you hear these stories all over Facebook and the news that, parents nude in the background or just all kind of crazy things going on. What's the wildest thing you've seen on a Zoom call so far?
Oh, goodness. See, what's funny is most of my students never turn on their cameras, so I very rarely see even their normal faces.
How is that an option?
Because in my district, it's privacy and whatnot. I don't know. We're not legally required to make them turn on their cameras. It's really frustrating as a dance teacher.
Of course.
How do I know if they're dancing? How do I know if they're on the right foot?
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But let's see. Crazy.
I mean, how is their privacy impacted anymore if they were in front of you in a class setting?
I don't know. I mean, I try to explain that to my students when they claim that they're shy about everyone seeing them dance on camera. And I tell them, guys, it's me and your classmates.
Right.
Same as if we were doing it in the dance room. And I know you'd be doing it if you were in the dance room.
Exactly.
But let's see. I've had people bring their little siblings on the camera. What I think is hilarious, though, is it's not like anything crazy happens, but they will very clearly be like on the phone or doing something and their mic is muted, their camera's on, and they forgot that they turned it on. And I call them out and I go, hey, Henry, your camera's on. I can see that you're on the phone. And they go, oh.
That's funny. So I know you are a huge backbone and support of Corey. I love that dude. You know how much I speak to him. I always have his back. I love his openness. I love his energy. I love so much about him. In helping him with his mental issues that he's been dealing with, and how do you balance things that you're going through with, being there for him as well, making sure you have enough time for yourself?
I'll be honest, I am not good about making time for myself. I am definitely someone who puts my toes into way too many things. To give you guys a broad picture of what I do with my life, I teach dance full-time at a school. I also teach part-time at a studio on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then I do cheer practice in the afternoons on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if our football games had not been canceled, that would be all of my Fridays. So again, I am not good at giving myself time. And so it's definitely one of those where if it's been a really rough day or if I have a lot going on, I'll vent and I'll open up and I'll try to just express to Corey what's going on. But more often than not, especially when it comes to like teaching related issues, I'm usually venting to other people that are in my PLC or the other dance teachers in the district or to that teacher mentor, partly because I know Corey has a lot going on with his own mental struggles and everything like that. And usually when he starts having breakdowns or he starts talking about something, I take whatever's going on with me and I just try to push it to the side as best as I can. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well, but I try to push it to the side and just be there for him when he needs it. But I know he's also really good about being there for me when I desperately need it.
Here's a tip: throw him a curveball, and when he's going through that, tell him some of the problems you're going through and make him play offense for you. Have him give you some tips, have him deal with you so that he kind of forgets about what he's going through and experiencing at the time. It might help.
I might have to try that.
How do you lean on your faith to help you, through the tough times?
Um, so prayer is a huge thing. There's a lot of peace that I find in bringing forward all of my issues and my struggles to God with prayer. I won't say that I've always held strong to the faith. I've had a lot of times where my faith has been tested because of certain circumstances going on in life. But at the end of the day, when I look at everything that I've been through, or that Corey and I have been through as a couple, and where we're at, I know that hindsight is always 2020, and God's plan is made clear when I look in the rearview mirror, not necessarily when I look ahead. And there's always a reason or a rhyme for what happens in life. And as that is made clear to me, I know to hold on tight and trust in whatever's coming next, because God has, something good at the end ready.
So we spoke about your administrators, we spoke about your parents, we spoke about Corey. More importantly, how has everything impacted you mentally?
It's been rough. To try to build relationships with students virtually who barely know you has been really difficult. Like I said, I'm making breakthroughs, and I do have some students that I'm reaching out to, and you can tell that they're like responding and interacting and all of that. But it's been hard because I have a feeling I'd have a lot more students on my team, or feeling like they're building that rapport with me if we were in person. Secondly, all of the expectations that have been put on teachers, and all of the uncertainty. When we first started the year online, we were guaranteed to be online for 2 weeks because our governor had pushed back the official start date of school unless you did it virtually. Then our governing board decided, okay, well, we're going to do the first quarter online. And we're like, okay, so does that mean we're going back in person in October or not? And the board did not decide on us coming, or on us staying online for the rest of the first semester until just a few days before the end of the first quarter. So that was like a really stressful, I don't know what I'm doing when we get back from fall break. Do I need to start making socially distant spaces on my dance floor out of tape? Or do I continue to leave it as it is? And those kind of things have been really rough as far as just the uncertainty. Like I said, the expectations. And I don't mean just like society, because society clearly expects a lot of teachers, but just like administration, and like I was saying, with the things they expect to see in the classroom when it's an online environment. Like I said, they want us to get the kids engaged and respond to something like every 5 minutes. I'll ask my kids a question, or I'll have them type an answer in the chat or something. And sometimes I will be sitting there for 5 to 10 minutes in silence as I wait for their answers to pop up in the chat. Maybe they have slower internet, or maybe I asked for like a really big answer, so they're writing a paragraph or something. And if I have a 35-minute lesson, I cannot take time every 5 minutes to wait 5 to 10 minutes for a kid to respond to a question. I'm going to get like 3 things done, and none of it that's important in my lesson, kind of thing. So that's been a really frustrating thing, is trying to meet these administration expectations while in an online environment, while in a shortened class period. And then grading expectations and trying to reach students. Like, I get that they're frustrated. I get that it's online and they're disconnected, and they're on the screen for 8 hours a day at school, and then they don't want to do the homework and stuff like that. But when I have done, or I feel like I've done everything I can to make life easy, they have 1 to 2 assignments due in my class every week. And most of them are assignments that will take them 5 to 10 minutes to work on, or it's a dance and they're recording themselves moving and then sending me the video. And I feel like I've given them all these opportunities of how to turn in things and how to submit. And I'm still getting 25 to 50% of my students to submit homework on a regular basis and on time. That's probably been one of the biggest frustrations, honestly, is I want to give you a decent grade. I want to help you succeed, but there's only so many bones I can throw you before I feel like I'm doing the work for you.
Have you reached out to any of your, like when you have your group, do you bring that up?
I do, but it's one of those where we're all experiencing those same issues. And we will be calling home on these students. We will be trying to reach out to the parents, trying to reach out to the student directly to meet one-on-one to help them. And a couple of them respond to that really well and it works for them. But for a lot of them, they're still just choosing not to do the work. So
And maybe it's something that's above your pay grade. Maybe it's an administrative thing. Maybe they need to help and give you guys the support that you need to help involve maybe the parents a little bit more, or hold these kids accountable for their work. I mean, it can't get any easier than learning at home.
mm-hmm.
So it
Well,
definitely sounds like you need some more support there.
yeah, and I know the administration is doing some extent of the work. When they realized we had, I forget the number, but I feel like it was a couple hundred students that were failing literally all of their classes. And again, the majority of those failures were due to missing assignments and kids choosing not to do work, not necessarily not understanding the assignments or anything like that. And they've been on top of some of those students. But it's frustrating when we're trying to keep track of students who are coming to our intervention time and encourage them to work on missing assignments during that time in the afternoon. And there's only so much you can do, and they're still not turning in assignments, even though they have that extra hour and a half with you just to work on missing assignments. They split it up by day. So like I have kids on Monday. And that's the only day that they have to come to me in the afternoon to work on missing assignments. And I have to be constantly on them. Hey, are you working on this? Hey, do you have questions? Hey, do you have questions? So that I make sure they're actually turning it in. I feel like that's another frustrating thing. And I don't know if kids are embarrassed or if they're not sure how to go about it, but there's a lot of things where there are some kids who they're not understanding assignments or how to do it, but they're not reaching out and asking questions to be able to submit the assignment properly or to be able to complete the assignment. They don't know what to do. And instead of reaching out to the teacher and asking for help or asking for clarification, they just choose not to do the assignment.
And this is with the additional time you give them in the later afternoon. Wow. I think that's all the questions I have. Is there anything that you'd like to say or any advice you'd like to give anyone going through what you are going through?
To all the teachers out there, you're not alone. We are all going through this together. This is a crazy, crazy year to be a teacher. Keep it up. Know that as rough as it is, there are kids and even some parents out there that are really appreciative and really understanding of what's going on. For any parents out there, please just check in with your kids. And if you have access to see their grades and monitor their stuff, do it. If you have access to reach out to their teachers, communicate with their teachers, but please don't do it in a way where you're just really yelling at them or doing anything like that. Try to communicate with them because they are human. They do make mistakes, and they're struggling sometimes even harder than your kids are to adjust to this virtual environment of learning.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this. This is going to launch in the group, I think, tomorrow. I am still in Facebook jail, so one of the other admins will, will launch it and put it in the group. And I'm sure we'll have questions in the comment section, and please feel free to answer those questions. And thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. Guys, thank you very much. This is Tamrae Decker. Thank you. Don't hang up. I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think we're good. I'm going to convert it to YouTube.
Okay.
I think I'll make it private just so that it's in the group and it's not public. I'll send it to you ahead of time, and then I'll have one of the guys post it in the group.
Okay.
Any
Sounds good.
questions?
No.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We
Of
appreciate
course.
you guys doing this. Before you go,
Yes.
you're 24.
Yes.
You're doing what you want to do for a living.
Yes.
You have your degree. You're married to someone you love,
Very much.
and you're a homeowner.
Yes.
Give
As of this
yourself-
weekend.
Right. Give yourself some credit. Don't feel like you have to, fit into societies of what are you supposed to be doing at a certain age, because let me tell you, at 24 you're way, way, way ahead of the game. I didn't get my shit together till I was in my 30s. So trust me when I tell you, you are ahead of the game. Keep doing what you're doing. You are doing amazing things, and you're not going to face much more adversity than you're going through in your first teaching job, in your first teaching year. So give yourself a little credit. All right.
All right.
As always, you can reach out.
Yes.
Take it
Thank
easy.
you.
Slap my boy in the ass for me. Take it easy.
I will.
All right. See you later.
Bye.